All right, everybody, welcome back to One Thing for Certain. As always, I'm LA.
I'm Hollis.
So, how's everybody been? Hopefully, everybody's been good. We've been out for a couple of weeks, few weeks here. A lot going on again. But me and Hollis were talking about something. We realized doing these videos is not about the growth anymore. It's like a release for us all of a sudden. Like, for the few minutes we doing these videos, we realized that it's like it helps relieve a lot of the stress of the day. Because, I never really asked you about your job being stressful, but mine can be very stressful. And sometimes, man, the few minutes that we actually do these videos help me to release a little bit. You ever feel like that sometimes?
Sometimes.
I mean, I'm not going to say all the time, but...
I've when it comes to stress and work, I'm in a different place in life, so I don't stress as much over work.
Yeah.
Even when it is stressful, it doesn't bother me.
I try not to, but then sometimes situations come up that you can't avoid.
Mm-hmm.
So. But I will say this: while we were away, you guys still hit up with the questions and had issues, and I hope we got back in time to save some of y'all because some of y'all got some issues. Shout out to JP Sunshine. She's a subscriber that asked how we been. So JP Sunshine, we're back. Thank you for being a subscriber. And also, shout out to a lot of my friends that are Deltas. Subscribe to our channel.
Okay.
So we got a lot of Greeks that follow us, as a matter of fact. So I wanted to give a special shout out to the Deltas. What's their color? Red. I want to make sure I get that right because I don't want them getting mad.
I don't think they're red.
The Deltas aren't red.
AKAs are red.
No, I thought the AKAs were pink.
I don't know. Don't ask me. Pink and
Yeah,
green,
I want to make sure I
know.
get it. So I got a couple of you that are really good friends that are Deltas. So you ladies, let me make sure I'm getting the color right. I don't want y'all coming after me saying y'all messed up my color. But JP Sunshine, thank you very much for being a subscriber. So without further ado, got a very interesting topic tonight that somebody actually texted me and wanted to know if the topic is on red flags in a relationship.
Okay.
Hollis is ready to eat it this one because we talked about this off camera before, so now tonight we get to talk about it on camera. It's sort of like a three-part question. Number one, do you believe red flags exist?
Okay.
Number two, if you have a red flag, should your significant other point it out to you, or should you just tell them, hey, this is my red flag? And three, is a red flag necessarily a reason to break up? So there's a lot of variables in this. There's a lot of variables in this question tonight, and she's not the only one. There's a lot of you couples and people want to know about this red flag situation because it's quite a few of these questions in our box about red flags. So tonight we're gonna try to touch on it and see if we can figure it out. I got my opinion on red flags. Hollis got his opinion on red flags. The young lady that messaged me has her opinion on red flags. So hopefully we can clear it up. Mm-hmm. So you got a very interesting take on red flags. So I'm going to let you start.
I'll start.
Now, for the record, I don't necessarily agree with it.
Hey.
That's why we have opinions, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm going to let you start off.
First of all, I don't really agree with red flags across the board. I do think people can display behaviors that are problematic or that can show you some insight on their way of thinking.
Yeah.
But one thing I've realized in life, the reason one person does something is not the reason another person may do the same thing.
That's true.
If I text somebody in the morning, good morning, beautiful, that doesn't mean I'm texting 10 other people that. But that doesn't mean that another person that texts you that isn't texting 10 other people that.
Yeah.
So if I'm answering my phone or I'm looking at my phone a lot, doesn't mean I'm entertaining other people. It depends on what I do for a living. It depends on my relationship with my friends. I've had jobs in the past where I've had dozens, hundreds of employees, and I was in direct communication a lot of times. So it depends on it. You can't really put everybody in the same hat. I think that's where the problem with red flags come in. Because it looks similar with this person, you want to cast that over another person. I understand the logic behind it, but I don't necessarily agree.
Yeah.
So
well, I agree with what you're saying. One thing about I've noticed, like I've noticed in relationships, whether it be mine or other individuals, because one person does something and another person, like you just said, because one person does something and another person didn't, that doesn't necessarily mean that's a red flag.
Absolutely.
And that burns me up when I see that happen, because I might date somebody that does something. Because somebody I dated previously did it differently, that doesn't mean it's a red flag with you.
Absolutely.
Everybody's different.
That's right.
And like you said, when you try to group everybody into one box, it's always going to be a red flag, because nobody's the same.
That's right. And there are similarities in everybody.
Exactly.
You can be the most faithful person in the world, and you can be the biggest dog in the world. There are some similarities that come across with both people.
Exactly.
So I just think we need to make sure, do your research on people. Understand. Like, I do have certain things that I look for. If I'm on a date with a woman and she's rude to the server.
Yeah. Sort of like a deal breaker.
That for me, that's a deal breaker.
Yeah.
Because I understand if you're rude to some people, eventually you're going to be rude to me.
I agree with you there.
So I do look at different things. I don't really call them red flags. I just look at them as indicators to a person's character. I don't look at general things like a text in the morning or certain verbiage. I don't look for those type of red flags, because it's too much. We're too similar. We're all people.
I've been on different sides of the spectrum with that. Like, I've dated people that want that good morning text. Mm-hmm. Then I've dated women that, if you text it, it's fine. I don't mind. Mm-hmm. You know, as long as I hear from you at some point.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't necessarily have to be the first thing in the morning. But the one that wanted first thing in the morning, I get it. That's fine too. That just let me know you both are different. Mm-hmm. So the one that wants that text first thing in the morning, just because I'm dating somebody that doesn't mean it's a red flag with you. That just means you're different than her. I mean, but you're right. You got to look at each individually differently. Because again, once you start trying to group everybody the same way, everybody's gonna be a red flag.
Everybody.
Now, with that being said, as far as, in my opinion, one red flag, you want to call it a red flag, I don't think that's a reason to break up.
I agree.
Now, if you walk into a man's house and go to the bathroom and open the closet and there's 4 or 5 dead bodies in there,
that's not a red flag. That's proof.
That ain't just a red flag. That's get the hell out of there. And, unless you want to be another one in the closet. But I'm just saying, like, because if you really think about it, like we were just saying, you can make anything a red flag.
That's right.
Now, the young lady brought up an interesting point. She said to me, in my opinion, and this is our channel, so it's our opinion, she said, if you have a red flag yourself, should your significant other find it out on their own, or should you just go ahead and tell them? Now, you don't believe in red flags, but we're basically answering her question as if you do believe in red flags. You understand? Like,
absolutely.
Basically, I think what she's trying to say, and this is just my opinion, I think this is what she's trying to say. If I have a fault that I know I have a fault, this is what I do, should I just tell her or let her find out on her own?
But it depends on what it is. You can't tell her what she's going to be cautious of.
Yeah.
Her red flags are based off her experience in the past. So you can't tell her what is going to trigger her to be considered a red flag.
Yeah.
That's going to be something that she has to see in you and bring up in conversation. Now, you can tell her, hey, this is what I'm known for. I'm a direct communicator when it comes to certain things. I'm going to tell you the truth, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
So some people like that, some people don't. So if I meet somebody, I can tell them, hey, this is the way I communicate. They may see that as a red flag, or they may see that as something to be cautious about. And that of myself, I know, so I can speak about that up front. Yeah. But I can't tell what she's gonna think is a red flag, because that's based on her experience in the past, and I don't really know that experience for her.
And it's got to be about the communication.
Absolutely.
And I've said on this channel before. I was married, got divorced. It was a lot of things that came out when we went to marriage counseling that came out at the marriage counseling. I'm thinking to myself, we adults here. That should have came up before. Like, at some point, even if you feel like it's a red flag, whatever you want to call it, red flag, a fault, whatever you want to call it, a healthy relationship, you should be able to say, hey, you know what? This is really bothering me. Mm-hmm. Can we talk? Nothing. I hate when I'm sitting down and the breakup has already happened. Obviously, we were in marriage counseling. Divorce was already on the way. why couldn't we talk about this before?
Mm-hmm.
I've had relationships end, and after it ends, all of a sudden I find out I'm like, but we could have sat down and talked about this.
I agree.
And I remember one time we had this conversation about love being enough and not, and you're right, love is not enough. I agree with that as well. And I think what was he said, it's got to be commitment and something else you said.
Commitment, dedication.
Exactly. And when you start talking about that, like love, yeah, you're right. Love is not enough, but you got to be committed to working on what's wrong.
That's right.
And a lot of times these relationships end because you might have loved a person, but when love is not enough, then that's what we were talking about with the commitment. Are you committed to sitting down saying, let's talk about this?
Love wears off.
Yeah.
Love wears off.
And I feel like, you know what, if you can't sit down and talk about the problem, because nothing bugs me more than you telling me my problem or what you think my problem was after it's all over with. I'm like, you can sit there and we can talk about this.
In the beginning. Mm-hmm.
In the beginning. Like, okay, this is what the issue is.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I don't think, and to the young lady that messaged me, let me tell you something. You can make anything a red flag.
Pretty much.
Let's just be honest.
Pretty much.
I mean, I could show up on our first date wearing a green shirt and orange pants, and you can say, "Damn, that's a red flag," because of how. Really? So you can make anything a red flag.
Absolutely.
And sometimes I feel like people create these red flags when they want to end a relationship. Like, okay, well, this is what you're doing wrong. I'm telling you right now, if you really sit back, a lot of times these relationships end. I'm a type of person where if you want to end a relationship, just say I want to end a relationship. Don't come up with all this red flag and this is a red flag.
But think about it. A red flag to me is I don't want to get hurt, so I'm going to look for things in you that I've experienced in the past that led me to be hurt.
There you go.
So I'm going to, when I see something that's similar, I'm going to say, oh, be cautious because this reminds me of.
Yeah.
So whenever you're basing your future off your past, that's problematic in the first place.
That's problematic in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I had a female tell me that. She said, I try to make sure that I avoid using my past toward my future.
Mm-hmm.
Because whether you're a man or a woman, it's not fair to the person that you're dating. I have never went into relationships and said, the last person did this.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like you said earlier, everybody's different.
Mm-hmm.
And if you try to group everybody in the same box, you're going to be bouncing from relationship to relationship because everybody's different.
Absolutely.
And you got to understand that. And, like I said, I had a female tell me, she like, when I date a guy, she like, I'm never trying to compare him to who I dated before. Because if I do, I'm going to constantly be going. Because there's going to be things, that I did that you do that he didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's things that he didn't do that you do.
Mm-hmm.
It's everybody's different. So you can't really group everybody in the same box. But you get some people that do that. But it's like you said, they're using that as an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
And those type of people are going to constantly go from relationship to relationship. And then they're going to wonder like, well, why is this not working? You know what? Sometimes you got to look in the mirror.
I think there's a difference between a red flag or something to be concerned about.
Yeah.
Because you can be concerned with a person's actions or behaviors. That's not necessarily a red flag. That's insight to who they are. Instead of labeling a red flag and red flags being so trivial, I think it's more so look at the signs of their character.
Yeah.
Again, if you steal from that person, eventually you'll steal from me.
Yeah.
If you are rude to a stranger in the street, eventually you're going to be rude to me. There are certain things you can look at that kind of forecast a person's character that we look at, and I think that's more important than labeling it a red flag and looking at small things. That small things can be anything.
And then as far as her question, as far as should you tell somebody you have a red flag or should you let them figure it out? What if I don't know I have a red flag?
Using the phrase red flag to me is a red flag because that means you've been hurt and you're looking for things to protect yourself. I understand that, but look at my character. Judge my character. Don't judge.
Oh, I had somebody
minuscule things.
I had somebody tell me that I was a red flag because I didn't open the door every time we went somewhere. I'm sitting here like, are you serious? And guess why she said that?
Why?
Because guess what the last boyfriend did?
Didn't open the door.
No, he opened the door every time they went somewhere.
Okay, that's him.
I'm like, okay. That does not make me a bad person because I don't do what he did.
Not at all.
And honestly, see, every woman doesn't need the door open for them every time they go somewhere.
No.
But according to her, that was a red flag for her.
I've been called a red flag because I have no kids.
Yeah.
How you ain't got no kids? That's a red flag.
See.
Okay.
That's an example of what I was talking about. You can make anything a red flag.
Anything.
If you really want to.
That's right.
But I've always went into relationships and I base it off individuality. I don't try to say, well, my last girlfriend did this. No, because everybody's different.
But again, see, I don't go into any relationship blind. I do look at behaviors because I understand myself and I understand the human condition.
Yeah.
So I do look at traits and characteristics and qualities that I have learned that are problematic for me.
Yeah.
So if a person's not responsible, it ain't gonna work with us.
Yeah.
So if you can't take a conversation about, hey, I didn't like the way this happened, and if that triggers you to be defensive because I'm saying, hey, I didn't like this, then that's a red flag, you could say. That's something that triggers me to understand, okay, this person is not good with taking ownership of when they make a mistake or when they do something. So,
but again, it goes back to, like I said, it's communication.
Communication.
If something there, then let's sit down and talk about it.
That's right.
Communicate, I know it's a cliche and it's said a million times. Communication is the key.
It
and
is.
when I say communication, I don't mean after you break up, this is my problem. No, if we're sitting in a room watching a movie and not, that's the time. If there's a problem, let's turn that movie off and let's talk.
Absolutely.
That movie on Tubi or Netflix or whatever you watching, that movie can wait.
That's right.
If you got a problem, if there's something eating at you, let's turn this movie off and let's talk. Let's break up and then 2 days later you like, oh, this is a problem.
But that's the problem. People think it's always easier to run.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a problem here. Okay, this person has issues. The next person is not. Everybody has some form of issues.
Everybody got some form
Period.
of issues.
So you can either deal with what you're dealing with and see if this person is committed to change, or you can take a chance and go back out to the dating market and see what you get.
It's like I said at one time before. We did it about a few videos ago, and I said that my grandmother used to. That's a saying my grandmother used to say: "Find you somebody that's going to stand out there in the rain with you and not leave you."
That's right.
Because, like you said, some people, the first sign is something they don't like, they run.
That's right.
And that's my grandmother said: try to avoid relationships like that. Find you somebody when that rain comes, they're going to stand out there with you.
That's right.
Not run and leave you out there by yourself. And that's basically what it is. If you find fault and then all of a sudden, oh, this ain't going to work for me, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a lot of people that's hurt right now because of situations or relationships like that. Those are very unhealthy relationships.
Hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of hurt people walking around trying to act like they're not hurt.
Yep.
It's easy to ignore your pain.
So at the end of the day, listen, red flags, faults, whatever you want to call them. You can create those if you want. But me personally, I don't think red flags are deal breakers. Because anything can be a red flag. Like
Anything.
So if you look at life like that, you're gonna be going from relationship to relationship. And if that's what you really want to do, then you every relationship's different. You might meet somebody for the first 2 or 3 months, they're perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden, month number 3, here you go. Now you make the real person. Cause the first month you ain't with the real person. I'll be honest with you. You might be, but
it depends.
Everybody's trying to impress you. You're trying to impress each other that first month. You know what I'm saying?
If I don't agree with that because I don't believe in oppressing people. I'm gonna be me.
Yeah, but some people do.
I do think some people are in their best behavior and they're trying to coerce you to like them.
Yep.
I don't believe in that. The way you meet me day one.
Yeah.
That's gonna be me on day 121.
Yeah.
So
there you go. Hopefully it's a hard question to give you a definite answer to. So we're gonna sit here and tell you we gave you a definite answer. No, we did not. But what we can tell you for sure is, don't try to find red flags in everybody. Don't try. Just because somebody did something that somebody else didn't do, that's not a red flag.
That's not at all.
And again, like Holly said, if you're going to use that as an excuse to run, you're going to be going from relationship to relationship, wondering why I can't find somebody to stay with me. Well, there we go. I think we might have answered that for you.
Judge the character. Character means more than anything.
Go. Character means more than anything. So, with that being said, we are back. Hopefully everything's cleared up. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna get back to doing this more often because we did take a little break here. But thank you for sticking by us. Thank you for all the messages, wondering where we were. We are back, And until next video, peace.